Surprising origins of iconic foods you didn't know. What if I told you the most quintessentially French pastry isn't really French at all? Or that one of Britain's most iconic national dishes exists thanks to religious persecution? And what if that all-American hero of condiments, ketchup, started its life on the other side of the world, as a fish sauce? You might think you know the story behind your favorite foods, but the truth is often hiding in plain sight. The plate in front of you is more than just a meal. It's a roadmap of history, full of shocking twists, secret migrations, and happy accidents. We're about to peel back the layers on foods you eat every day and uncover the hidden stories you never suspected. The truth is much stranger, and way more delicious, than you could ever imagine. The French Let's start in Paris, the supposed capital of culinary perfection. Picture a cafe, the smell of coffee, and a buttery flaky croissant. It's the ultimate symbol of a French breakfast, right? Except, its ancestor isn't French. Historians trace the croissant's roots to the Austrian Kipferle, crescent-shaped pastry documented in Vienna as far back as the 13th century. One popular legend, though almost certainly untrue, claims it was created in 1683 to celebrate the defeat of the Ottoman Empire, its crescent shape mocking the symbol on their flag. So how did this Austrian creation become a French icon? Around the 1830s, an Austrian artillery officer named Auguste Zang opened a Viennese bakery, or boulangerie viennoise, in Paris. He introduced Parisians to the Kipferl and they absolutely fell in love. French bakers, inspired by this new pastry, gradually adapted the recipe. Over time, they applied their famous technique of laminating dough with butter, folding it over and over to create dozens of delicate, airy layers. They called it the croissant after its crescent shape, and by the early 20th century, the modern version we know today was born. So, while the croissant was perfected in France, its DNA is thoroughly Viennese. This culinary identity crisis doesn't stop there. How about French fries? The name says it all, doesn't it? Well, not exactly. One of the most popular origin stories points to Belgium as the fries' true birthplace. As the tale goes, in the Meuse Valley back in the 17th century, villagers often ate small, fried fish caught from the river. But when the rivers froze over in winter, fishing was impossible. As a substitute, they started cutting potatoes into fish-like strips and frying them instead. So why the French name? The most common theory is that American soldiers stationed in the French-speaking part of Belgium during World War I encountered the dish. They associated the food with the French language they heard all around them and brought the name French fries back to the States, where it stuck and spread across the globe. The British icons with foreign roots. Now, let's hop across the channel to Great Britain, home of hearty pub food and classic comfort dishes. First up, fish and chips. It feels as British as a double-decker bus, but the fried fish half of this famous duo is an immigrant story. Its roots lie with Sephardic Jewish refugees from Spain and Portugal. Fleeing persecution in the 15th and 16th centuries, many found refuge in England, bringing with them a dish called pescado frito, white fish coated in a simple flour batter and fried. This method was perfect for observing the Sabbath, as the fish could be cooked on Friday and eaten cold the next day. The dish became so popular on the streets of London that it was even noted by visitors like Thomas Jefferson as fish prepared in the Jewish fashion. It wasn't until the mid-1800s, when thick-cut fried potatoes became a cheap and popular food, that someone had the brilliant idea to pair them together, creating the iconic dish we know and love today. And what about that other pub and picnic staple, the Scotch egg? It sounds definitively Scottish, but its inspiration likely comes from much farther east. The Scotch egg bears a striking resemblance to a Mughal-era Indian dish called Nargisi kofta. Nargisi kofta, which means Narcissus meatball, is a hard-boiled egg wrapped in spiced minced meat and then fried. Its name comes from the way it looks when cut open, resembling a narcissus flower. It's widely believed that British colonists in India were inspired by this dish. They adapted the recipe back home, swapping spiced mince for sausage meat and adding a breadcrumb coating to create a perfect portable snack. The London department store Fortnum & Mason claims to have popularized it for wealthy travelers in the 18th century. But its heart seems to be firmly rooted in South Asia. This brings us to curry. The word, as we use it in English, is largely a British simplification, while the term is derived from words like the Tamil curry, which means sauce or relish. British colonists used curry as a catch-all for almost any spiced, saucy dish they encountered in South Asia. The most famous example of this fusion is chicken tikka masala, now often called Britain's true national dish. Its origin is hotly debated, but the most popular legend places its invention not in Delhi, but in Glasgow, Scotland, in the 1970s. The story goes that a Pakistani-Scottish chef, Ali Ahmed Aslam, improvised the dish when a customer complained his chicken tikka was too dry. The chef is said to have added a creamy tomato sauce possibly containing canned tomato soup and a legend was born, creating a dish that perfectly blended Indian flavors with the British love for a good gravy. American classics, ancient origins. From British inventions, let's turn to some American icons that are much, much older than they seem. First, cheesecake. We might think of those dense, creamy New York-style slices, but its story actually begins over 4,000 years ago in ancient Greece. Anthropologists have found cheese molds on the Greek island of Samos dating back to around 2000 BC. This early cheesecake was a simple baked cake of fresh cheese, flour, and honey, and some believe it was served to athletes at the first Olympic Games in 776 BC as a source of energy. When the Romans conquered Greece, they took the recipe, added eggs, and spread it across their expanding empire. The modern American version, with its cream cheese filling, is a more recent update, made possible when New York dairymen developed and commercialized cream cheese in the 1870s. Next up, the donut. It's an emblem of American coffee shops, but its story is a global relay race. Fried dough is an ancient concept, with early examples like the Greek laukomades, small dough balls soaked in honey. The more direct ancestors of the American donut, however, arrived with Dutch settlers in New Amsterdam, which later became New York. They brought their olijkoeks or oily cakes, which were sweet balls of dough fried in oil. The final touch, that iconic hole in the middle's a 19th century American innovation. Legend has it that a sea captain named Hanson Gregory punched a hole in the dough to solve the age-old problem of a gooey, undercooked center. And finally, what's more American than ketchup? It's practically the lifeblood of fast food. But the original ketchup had no tomatoes at all. Its ancestor was a fermented fish sauce from Southeast Asia, with names like katsup. In the 17th and 18th centuries, British traders fell for this salty, savory condiment and tried to replicate it back home using mushrooms, walnuts, and oysters. It wasn't until the 19th century in America that tomato-based recipes took off. In 1876, Henry J. Heinz launched and popularized his famous formula, which used vinegar for preservation and a healthy dose of sugar, creating the sweet, tangy red sauce that conquered the world. It's incredible how a single dish can tell a story of centuries of trade, migration, and pure chance. We've still got a few more mind-blowing food histories to uncover, but first, what is the most surprising origin story you've heard so far? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this journey through our culinary past, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. A global phenomenon with accidental roots. Let's talk about a modern American classic born from a happy accident: buffalo wings. Unlike the other foods we've discussed, this one doesn't have ancient roots. Its history starts in 1964 at the Anchor Bar in Buffalo, New York. According to the story told by the owners, late one night, Cono Teresa Bellissimo needed to whip up a quick snack for her son and his friends. She grabbed some chicken wings, a cut that was often just thrown out or used for stock, deep-fried them, and tossed them in a spontaneous sauce of melted butter and cayenne hot sauce. They were an instant hit. The Bellissimos put them on the menu the very next day, served with celery sticks and blue cheese dressing to balance the heat, and a bar food legend was born. And no, the name has nothing to do with bison. It's a direct tribute to their hometown. From the mountains of Austria to the river valleys of Belgium, from the kitchens of Jewish refugees to a late-night snack in a New York bar, the histories of our most iconic foods prove one thing: food moves. Very few dishes are pure. They are the products of migration, trade, colonialism, war, and lucky mistakes. A French pastry is secretly Austrian. A British staple is secretly Portuguese and Jewish. America's favorite condiment started out as a Southeast Asian fish sauce. These hidden stories don't make our favorite foods any less special. They make them richer. They prove that food is living history, constantly evolving as it crosses borders and travels through time. It's a delicious reminder that the world is far more connected than we often realize. The next time you sit down for a meal, remember, you're not just eating dinner, you're tasting a story.